conversations. We're getting ready to start the meeting. Teresa. We're starting the meeting. Yes. So let's call it to order. I want to welcome everyone. We have a quorum, and we will begin the meeting of the Oklahoma City Arts Commission for October 21st, 2024. Before the commission votes on each item, I will ask staff to provide details of each case. If you ask if the applicant has anything to add, I will ask if the applicant has anything to add, and I will ask if any members of the public wish to speak. If you wish to address the Arts Commission, you will be recognized. Please go to the central podium, state your name and address for the record, and bring your comments. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Our next item is to receive the meeting minutes from July 15th's regularly scheduled meeting. And if there's any discussion or no corrections, I'll ask for a motion and a second. All right, okay, vote.
It's not popping up online.
Just
Still
that
not
you
popping
sent.
up. It's not coming up. Yes.
Does anybody else need a verbal vote? Okay. Okay, it's passed. And now we can move on to items of discussion. I talked to Randy and staff, and we're going to go ahead and move item 3C up to the first. And it's a commendation of Ryan McNeil of OAK Oak for a distinguished act of service to the residents of Oklahoma City. And Randy will present the item and read the commendation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Randy Marks, the Program Planner in Arts and Cultural Affairs. And as soon as that happens, we'll go to C. I have absolutely no doubt that you remember what happened on February 19th right here. So, Brad Oldham and Christy Coltrane came in and did a presentation of the works that they were at that time, were going to install at the Oak. The works were not even in the United States at the time. They were still in China, if my recollection is correct. Since then, they have made their way to the United States and been installed. After their presentation, you voted to, I want to get this wording right, by acclamation actually, you commended the developers of Oak for their outstanding investment in public art. And now that investment is a living reality at Oak, and so we're going to make that commendation absolutely official. So, with Commissioner Kovash, with your permission, I'll read the commendation.
Please do.
And you see we have a very official looking commendation. The Oklahoma City Arts Commission hereby commends Ryan McNeil, founder of Veritas Development, for outstanding contribution to public art in Oklahoma City with the installation of cloud trees. This is cloud trees. Go up one more. This is Cloud Puncher. And this is the Mighty Live Oak. For the installation of these 3 works of art at Oak, and I'm quoting now from what artists Brad Oldham and Christy Coltrane wrote. Through his leadership, vision, and unwavering commitment to public art, Ryan McNeil of Veritas Development has made a profound and lasting impact on Oklahoma City. As artists, our ideas would have remained just that, ideas, without Ryan's steadfast support and faith. Thanks to him, we were given the opportunity to create Cloud Trees, Cloud Puncher, and Mighty Live Oak, and several smaller sculptures that are now an enduring part of the Oklahoma City community. The Arts Commission joins the artist in thanking Ryan McNeil and his partners for this distinguished act of service to the residents of Oklahoma City. The smaller works that are referenced are in the interior of the hotel, which you can see there. I haven't seen them in person. I've seen photographs. They're really charming works. If you haven't been by the Oak to see these works, definitely do that. This particular work, the method that the clouds were formed is exactly the same as what was used for the Bean in Chicago, Cloud Gate in Chicago. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I send it back to you.
Thank you, Randy. The motion is, do we approve the commendation? So it's been moved. We need a second. Deborah Sinner has seconded it, and we will ask for a vote in prime.gov.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed. And now we get to the more meaty pieces. Item 3AA, a loan agreement for various works of art from the collection of the Oklahoma City Museum of Art to be loaned to the City of Oklahoma City for installation and display in the Oklahoma City Convention Center, Ward 7. And Randy will present this item.
The major work of public art in the Convention Center is Virtual Sky by Susan Arduli, which has been on display for around 3 years now. Also, we use some 1% for arts funds to aid in the long-term loan of Together Together by Joe Slack, which is the 50th anniversary celebration sculpture that is on the exterior of the building. And we also use some 1% funds for the loan of, I won't get the name right, Beautiful Mystical Clouds by Wayne Coyne and Damien Hirst, that is on a 10-year plus loan to the city. All of those we used 1% funds for, and we still have funds left over. So we have another project that we're working on, but there's still going to be some funds left over. So Barbara Beaton, who is the manager of the Convention Center, and art staff, and also Sue Hollenbeck, who's special projects manager for the city manager's office, started talking about how we might be able to leverage those remaining funds into something even a little bit different. And the idea was to form partnerships with some of the local museums to show works of art from their collections at the Convention Center. I don't need to belabor the point about the mutual benefits that come from such an arrangement. People from around the world in the Convention Center see these works, go to the museums, people at the museums become familiar with Oklahoma City, maybe, we hope, become familiar with the Convention Center and what happens at the Convention Center. So it's a virtuous circle. So the discussion started. We proposed to Mari Ford, actually a person on Mari's staff at the museum, and we started the discussion, and Mari joined into the discussion, and it turns out that they loved the idea. Mari came over and talked with Barbara and Sue and art staff at the Convention Center, and then not only said that, yes, this is a great idea, we think that we can see how this could be turned into some bigger program also. So it was wonderful to get him and his ideas on board. They already have an idea of a major work that they would like to loan to the Convention Center. This is just a teaser. We're not going to talk about that right now, except just to say that there's already one designated that we would like to see installed at the Convention Center just as soon as possible. But today, what we're going to do primarily is talk about an overarching agreement, because this is not a one-off. This is envisioned to be something that will use up the rest of the 1% funds that we have for the MAPS 3 1% for art funds for various items that will come at different times and will be on display at the convention center for varying lengths of time. So in addition to this first work, if it's accepted, then look forward to potentially seeing Dale Chihuly works and others from the museum collection. I'll finish and then I'll turn it back to Mr. Kovash, to the chair. So, so this is an overarching agreement that we're talking about today. And you can see these are just the basic terms of the loan. And but we would like to, and those are written in, you should have those in your packet. And that's all I have to say about this right now, and I'll turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Randy. And now's the time where we will have discussions, questions, hopefully answers. And we'll start with Commissioner Cooper.
I am not on the board of the Art Museum any longer, although I was for many years. However, I do serve on their collections committee. Am I allowed to vote? I'm wondering if I should recuse myself. I'm on the Collections and Exhibitions Committee.
Rita Talley, City Attorney's Office. Is there anything about your role with the museum that you think would interfere with your role as an arts commissioner? Are you able to serve in the arts commissioner capacity in the same manner as any of the other arts commissioners?
I don't personally see a problem with this because this is going to be handled by the management group at the Art Museum. Although I suspect, since it involves the collection, that the proposition itself will be presented, although I don't know for sure, could very well be presented to the exhibitions, the Collections and Exhibitions Committee for informational purposes. So I just wanted you to be aware that I do have a small role at the Art Museum, so I wasn't sure if I maybe should not participate.
Mr. Chair, you may want to ask if any of the other commissioners have an issue. She has not announced that she has one.
Okay.
I was just going to make an announcement that I do have a relationship as well. I serve on the board of the museum and attend most of those committee meetings, but I don't have any reason to believe that my duties as a commissioner would be impaired by that service.
And that is one of the reasons all of you are chosen, is because of your participation in the arts, so.
And you won't be personally enriched in any way from your relationship with them related to this? You don't have any?
My only enrichment will be as a citizen of the community, having the art out in there and available for everybody to see.
But you won't be getting any
No remuneration of any nature,
Okay.
Neither directly nor indirectly.
directly or indirectly.
That sounds good.
I think we're fine. Do we need
Okay,
to,
just
do we
wanted
need
to-
to do anything? Do we need to hit the gavel or, no? Okay. All right, now I lost my place. Item 3B, B, a donation agreement between, I'm sorry, what?
We'll vote on this if it's the will of the commission to go ahead and vote on it. So the
you-
recommendation of staff is to recommend the agreement to city council.
It's still 3B?
3A.
Oh, 3A, okay. I'm still on medication, by the way, in case somebody's asking. So we're voting on 3A?
I have
Yes?
a question on 3A.
Oh, we're discussing 3A.
We're discussing it.
Commissioner?
I love this idea. And I like it so much that I want to give a reasonable amount of freedom to embrace the idea between the organizations involved, i.e. Oklahoma City Museum of Art and the Convention Center. if they have a huge convention coming in and there is a piece in the museum's collection that's relevant to what is coming in, and they want to organize a loan on a piece for a specific period of time, I don't feel like they need to come back to us to talk about that. And in contrary, if something's been there for a long time and they want to switch it out just for the purposes of having fresh art in there, I don't necessarily feel like I need to vote on that. And I want to make sure that the item A, or the top bullet item on that list, would allow them the freedom to do that without needing to talk to us about it. I would love to know what happens, because I think it's interesting, and I think it's also a way for us to share information with the public about these pieces being on display and available for them to view. But I don't want to inhibit their timeline to be able to make changes.
So the
I had not
information,
anticipated, I would like to respond to that if,
well, I was just to add, or maybe sideways add, the information you sent us in the packet does talk about us approving each individual piece. Was that, did I read that, or am I mistaken?
you read that correctly.
Okay.
And I anticipated that we wouldn't want to take the time to take every individual transaction to the city council. But in the writing of it, it seemed reasonable to bring it back to the Arts Commission. But your recommendation to the city council can be your recommendation to the city council. And if you want it to be handled by art staff, I mean, there needs to be some, we don't want to get in the way, we want to facilitate and we want to document. So, and
I assume
there,
our insurance policy has to be updated with these changes and things like that, right?
Right.
Okay.
right. So I would like, I mean, personally, I think that I would love to hear your further thoughts about this.
Commissioner Eichmann?
So what Commissioner Bailey is talking about is also very consistent with what we did with some of the master planning, say at the State Fairgrounds or with the Plaza District and the murals that were curated there. And I think even with Campbell Art Park, we don't ask for those to come back to us each time for approval, but the plan, the master plan has been approved by the commission, and then we leave it to those organizations as long as, I want to say, there were some conditions. They had a curatorial role. I mean, there were like 2 or 3 different points that they had to accomplish to be consistent with the approval of the master plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that way, you know, again, it's empowering them and entrusting them to do the job.
I
Not
think-
micromanaging them.
Yeah, I think your recommendation of staff notification and being involved in that one, there's going to be physical coordination of the pieces moving in and out, and I think staff being another part of the convention center management to be, as you know, in that conversation is important, because there could be other things going on besides the convention center that could affect that you're aware of. But also to do good documentation so that we know the assets that are actually sitting at the convention center. I think that's important as a part of the agreement. But I do trust that the Museum of Art has a curatorial staff that is more than sufficient to respond to requests appropriately if the convention center has any, and also to initiate ideas that could be impactful to the public at the convention center. And so I would love to hear updates on it, but I don't necessarily feel that I need to, as a commissioner, approve individual changes to the pieces there.
If it was done as a curatorial plan, as Commissioner Eichmann was saying, there would be periodic reports that would come back, whatever those would be, biannually or annually or whatever.
So Commissioner Bailey, I would just add to this that the museum has fair amount of experience doing this, and we've been in discussions to do a similar thing out at the airport. There was a period of time where there was a beautiful Chihuly piece of glass that was installed in the lobby at the airport, and we've had things out there in the past. So there is a good history for how to do this.
Commissioner?
I love this concept a lot. Does staff look at our agreement with the museum as a potential template for other opportunities like this? Or do you see any hindrances with us implementing something similar in other locations?
We hope that it will be a template for further partnerships of this sort.
Commissioners, any further discussion? So, it's time we can move to a motion and second.
Can we put the items back up on the screen so that we can look at those really quick, the 4 items?
Go back to the, oh yeah. So we would change the wording in item A to reflect a curatorial plan approach.
Yeah, with that change. Will you bring the contract back to us before it's signed, or is that just going to be taken care of by staff?
It depends on what you would like to do. If you would rather that the full agreement come back to you with all changes before it goes to city council, then that's what we will do.
Is anybody interested in seeing it ahead of time? No? Okay. I think we're good. I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay. I'll make the changes, and I would like to send it past the executive committee, just for your comments. You 3, right there.
That's good. We can do that.
Okay. That'll probably be tomorrow morning.
What's that?
That'll probably be tomorrow morning.
Okay. I'll set my alarm. So where are we?
I will make a motion, but since we need to make edits to it, do I need to make it verbally with the changes or no?
Mhm.
Robin, could you speak up, please?
Okay.
If the motion is clearly expressed, we'll need that for the record. So if there are other items that you'd like to be a part of the motion, just go ahead and state those, and Robin will be able to include those.
So I would make a motion to approve this loan agreement concept and empower staff to facilitate it with the Museum of Art, utilizing the staff's bullet list that they have provided with the edit that the 2 parties as well as staff can approve changes to the assets and works at the location, this convention center, upon mutual agreement at any time during the course of the agreement.
Okay.
Without coming back to Arts Commission for permission to move the works.
See a lot of heads in agreement. Yes. Okay, so it looks like we have a good motion. Anyone else like to comment on the motion on the table?
It won't let me actually, it just says waiting.
So we're going to go ahead and vote then. Yay.
There it goes.
Okay, got a move and a second, so we will just call for a vote. Okay, and it has passed.
And just before we go forward, I'd like to thank Commissioner Cooper for your sensitivity to that question and bringing that up and clarifying that. Appreciate that.
Moving on. Item 3B. B. Donation agreement between Splash Project Stronger Together and the Department of Parks and Recreation of the City of Oklahoma City for surface treatment of a basketball court designed by Matt Goad entitled City Critters to be installed in Memorial Park, Ward 2. And Randy, again, will present.
Professor Anat Lecter, professor at New York University, is heading up an international effort called Splash Project. The Splash Project says, "We believe in the power of sports and art to strengthen community bonds and create a healthy, creative living environment. By transforming old sports courts through collaboration with various artists, we aim to create vibrant art pieces that benefit the community and enhance the city." And that is their mission statement. Splash Project was created by Liam Schramm, who was murdered on October 7th, 2023, in that disaster. Liam, as you can see here, was called a third-year business student. He was a kid with dreams, and one of his dreams was to do this project called Splash Project. And there was an initial basketball court or sports court, as you can see in the photograph there. When he was still living, that one was done, and that was basically a business school project. After he was killed, his mother didn't want to see the project die along with him. And so she collaborated with Professor Lecter and others to start an international process that in the United States is going to be partnered with the NBA and various Fortune 500 companies. They chose Oklahoma City as one of 2 trial projects in the U.S., the other being Miami, and they reached out to the Parks Department. Assistant Director Scott Fairman contacted Arts and Cultural Affairs, and we've provided technical assistance to Parks. Splash proposes to put a textured siliconized acrylic coating on a basketball court at Memorial Park at Northwest 36th and Classen. And they're working with local artist Matt Goad, who designed City Critters, as you see here, his original design for the court. This would be a total donation of $27,000, valued at $27,000 for this resurfacing of the court. Parks understood and understands the donation policy recommendation from Arts Commission, but they're willing to forego any added donation and willing to take on the entire maintenance, repair, whatever needs to be done for the life of the work. So they feel very comfortable with this donation and would like to see it go ahead. Parks Department has worked with the Municipal Counselor's Office to draft the donation agreement. They intend for that to go to council on November 5th. So we're not directly involved in that process. We have been offering technical assistance along the way, help get them connected with various artists well, I don't know exactly what their process was, and they is the Splash Project. Parks was not involved with that. They selected Matt, commissioned him to do the design, and of course, this is typical stellar Matt Goad type of design. Now, Matt will provide a VERA waiver, and there will be an art identification marker. Right now, we don't know if that's going to be painted integral to the work or if there will be an additional marker on the side. There is a chance that the location will change. So as you're approving this, you're approving it with the knowledge that they may decide that a different location will be better for one reason or the other. But for right now, it's intended to be Memorial Park. And the recommendation from staff is to recommend to City Council to accept the donation. Any questions?
Okay. Would anybody like to take a stab at a motion? Recommending this to City Council? Okay. Guess we've got it. So vote. And it passes. Yay. Now we'll move to item 3D, review 2025 meeting dates for the Arts Commission, and Randy's the champion for this one as well.
Just before we go to the schedule, I want to make a comment about the first three projects that you've heard so far. So there has been an overarching loan agreement with the museum, a donation, $27,000 donated work to the city, and then the third one is a multi-million-dollar project that didn't come to the city of Oklahoma City, but still is a gift to the people of Oklahoma City. I think that these three projects are an indication of a mature and robust art program. This is not bragging on arts and cultural affairs, well, a little bit, but quite frankly, we can say this is the foundation that Robbie built with the Arts Commission, and this is what happens when you start doing that. It starts again becoming a virtuous circle, and things like this happen. Why did they choose Oklahoma City as one of two locations, along with Miami, for this basketball court? Well, it's because we're on the radar. We're on their radar. And we're going to win the NBA this year, too. Going to knock on wood. Okay, so it's that time of year when the city clerk asks us to look at our schedule for the next year and approve that so that it becomes official. We'll let them know, they'll stamp it, and this will be the schedule for next year. And as you look at this, burn those dates into your brain.
Okay.
Yeah, Robin will keep on sending the emails, I guarantee it.
So everybody needs to vote.
And the staff recommendation is, unless you see some needed changes, is just to accept as written.
Okay, it's passed. Excellent. Now we'll go on to 3E. Discussion of possible eligibility policy for artist applicants to city arts projects. And that's Oklahoma City Arts.
Oh, Oklahoma City.
Yes.
City of Oklahoma City
Yes.
Arts Projects. From the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs.
And Randy will present.
We want to start a discussion with you about considering the idea that there needs to be some restrictions on eligibility, primarily in three areas. A limit to the total number of works by any one artist in the collection, a limit to the number of projects they may be awarded during a certain period of time, a limit to the number of projects they could work on at the same time. So, for example, we have a few artists out there that they're working on two artists right now. Is it a wise idea, even if they apply, is it a wise idea to award them another project? If we had 5 works by an artist in our collection, should we maybe make sure that there are more open opportunities for other artists? We would like to start this discussion and see what you think. We believe it's important for the city collection to contain works from a wide variety of artists of all ages and in many styles, and I would say also at different levels of experience. An emerging artist may be terrifically talented and be capable of handling a small to a major work, but they may not be skilled at the entry process, or they're unknown, and a selection committee may default to a known artist who may be doing wonderful work. That's not the question. The question is, what do we want ultimately the entire collection to look like? So staff has the recommendation that this discussion start We don't necessarily want to direct it in any particular direction right now, but we would like for that discussion to start, and it could be handled in a commission meeting, or there could be a committee, or whatever you should direct. So I throw that to you.
Questions and discussions? Commissioner Cooper.
While I think it's very important for the overall city collection to have variety, I would have some hesitation to start drawing bright lines for the number of works of a particular artist that we would have in our collection, in part because when we first started this process, there were artists who, and I think some of the art world is waking up to that there are some pretty good opportunities here in Oklahoma City, so it's becoming worth their while to watch our public art proposals. But at the beginning, we didn't have that kind of attention, and we had a number of local artists who basically had faith in the city to have a good proposal. And there were some artists who were selected multiple times to provide works of art at various venues around the community. And I don't think it would, and some of them I think maybe kind of undervalued the cost of their work because they wanted to participate. And I think now that we're developing perhaps a more sophisticated and certainly higher remuneration on our arts projects, it would be somewhat unfair to tell them that, oh, we already have a bunch of your work, we can't have any more. So I think we have to be careful in that area of the discussion between drawing a fine line saying, well, if we have X number of art, you're not eligible anymore at this time. I mean, I understand, again, that we want to have variety, but I think this, while it needs to be discussed, I think it has to be carefully crafted, because I think that our local artists who did show faith in our art projects at the beginning and who came through with some really wonderful pieces of public art around the city shouldn't be punished for having participated early on.
And thank you, Commissioner Cooper. I'll get to you, Commissioner Eichmann. That example that she cited was just one example that you said may or may not come up. Is that correct, Randy?
Right.
Right.
I'm throwing that out there as a possibility for discussion.
Yeah, we may or may not even have this commission or subcommittee, depending on what we discuss, correct? Okay. I'm sorry, Commissioner Eichmann.
What a great problem to have. And, yeah, which means we've come a long, long way. And, you know, I'd be curious, because I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Cooper has said. And so, but I would be curious to hear what some of the artists who participated have to say. And it could be an informal session. And, you know, we have Denise Duong, and we have D.G. Smalling, we have Steve Hill, commissioners who are artists themselves on this committee, and it would be interesting to see how they feel like what we could maybe set up with artists and get some feedback before we do anything formal.
Okay.
Commissioner.
And
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Kovash also, I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, we have artists sitting here that, you know, in terms of meeting with other artists who've been a part of this process.
I'm under the radar most
Yeah.
of the time, so
So, yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
mean to
okay.
interrupt
No,
you.
no, no.
Commissioner Bailey.
So I think that, you know, I hear the dilemma, and I think that we all desire to have a robust collection that's reflective of our city, and that changes over time. It changes project by project. I think that I want to go back to the data in the collection and say, when we look at our collection as a whole, how are artists represented throughout it? What is it that we find that could be repetitive, that the public would not connect with in the same way because it's being seen so often, and really identify where our deficit in the collection is. And maybe that's more the conversation that I would rather have, is looking at our collection and saying, where are the curators of the public collection? And whether we're qualified to do that or not, but we are. And what do we want to see out of the collection, and make sure that what we are asking artists to respond to is reflective of those directions that the commission has guided staff towards. And you know, I think that is a bigger conversation that never ends, probably, and probably more a subcommittee level conversation with people that are, you know, experienced from our commission in that field. We certainly have several that can appreciate that, and to give staff direction on how to evolve the collection, because I think that's really the question that we're debating. Is we may see an artist represented several times over the course of several years, but over the lifetime of the collection, is that really an issue? And there's, or is this something that the public is wanting? Because this artist is in demand right now, and it may feel repetitive, and we want to make sure that we're doing a good job for the public and giving variety, but if the public is wanting that, that's okay for us to respond to. And for there to be 3 or 4 pieces from this artist across the city, if it's a really well-loved artist, especially with our murals and some of these things that are not available forever, you know. And so that would be my reframing of this, because I don't think that I want to look at it from a vendor perspective, because as a public entity, I think that staff can help guide vendor selections in these in these specific things, just like if we were hiring an electrician to do work on MAPS projects. You know, somebody that we have never worked with as a city that is qualified would probably not be selected for our largest electrician, you know, response, I would assume, on a project. But that doesn't mean that they wouldn't have the opportunity to work on something else if city staff is like, we need more variety so that we have more electricians responding to our RFPs. I mean, these are not the same skill sets, I know, but I want there to be a fairness, and I want there to be kind of, I like our public process as it relates to that. And so to me, it's more about framing what it is that we're wanting from artists, and artists aligning their niche to that. Another item that I want to bring up is getting artists' feedback on the process. If we're not seeing some of the artists that we're wanting to see, and I know we are inhibited by the public RFP process on several of our larger projects, like we have a very formalized process. Are we not connecting with some of the artists that we want to see because the process is prohibitive? And how do we help them navigate that if we feel like that? If somebody understands the process, it's much easier for them to continue to apply project after project after project. Once you figure that out, you realize that it's not as difficult as it first seems, but it is a very steep incline to get knowledgeable about responding through the formalized process. And so going back to the data and the collection and curation, if we're not seeing something that we want, how do we make sure that artists that fit in that category are responding to the RFPs that are relevant to them, and finding out why they're not responding to it? So, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think-
We've had some people over here.
I think there also might be a flip side to this question, in that we have routinely a lot of artists that apply for projects that aren't qualified, or that submit work that doesn't meet the requirements that we put in the RFP. And that could be another facet of how we deal with eligibility. You know, I think about a lot of our artists that have grown with the community, and they have done so by providing really unique pieces that are site-specific. And I think that's something so wonderful in our process, is that, you know, we make them come do site visits, and we, you know, really build into the sense of place about the work they're doing. And many have grown over the years in their capacity and everything else. So I agree that I wouldn't want to limit them, but I also think we could be better at how we, the folks that actually apply, and to be sure that, I mean, in my old business, it was like the millions of resumes that you would get for people that don't match the job description in the slightest way. And we do that happen with submissions here as well.
I do want to,
Typically-
Randy, I would like to reframe the discussion just a little bit, because the points that the commissioners are bringing up are important, but they're what we need from this committee. And we don't need to argue the micro details of what we hope to produce from this committee. I think the city is asking for more of a macro kind of thing. Do we even need this subcommittee? Or do we need the eligibility guide? And that's what we should be discussing here.
Yeah.
Because like I said, each of these ideas is important, but it's too soon for this discussion. We just need to know if we even need to have a discussion at all, right? Okay. thank
Right.
you.
Well, at least I agree with that.
Right. And I'm sorry, Commissioner, you had something?
No, I think that's a great point, and I think in my concern is that artists help bring us along the way. I just don't want, I guess I would think we could accomplish some things by actually talking with that community, not,
Maybe an artist could be on this committee.
that,
this
exactly,
subcommittee.
exactly, and,
We have plenty of precedent for that.
exactly,
Yeah.
so.
Well, it seems like we do think we need a subcommittee of some
Yeah.
sort,
Right.
and then maybe expand that committee to include some key artists. I think that's fair.
Commissioners, sorry, did you have, sorry. Medication. Anybody else on that side?
No.
I'm gonna fall asleep in my chair here. Yeah, I think if we get this committee, it will help. I'm sorry, Commissioner Cooper.
Yeah. I don't know if this is rehashing the
Yeah,
point
go
that you
ahead.
were making, but I know because I worked on a project where the artist self-identified as being eligible to handle the project, and as it turned out, they really were not capable of doing it, and the project ended up getting canceled. So artist eligibility is something that needs to be evaluated at some part of the process, and it has to be something more than self-identification.
Commissioner Bailey, did you have something?
Kind of following up with what she just said, I think we kind of have two different topics that happen to be next to each other here. I think there is a collection curation piece of this where we're looking at the collection and then giving guidance back to staff from the committee about the direction of the collection and how the diversity of the collection and all of these relevant things to being representative of this city. I think there's another piece of this where we might look at the process-based. Maybe there is another application, I want to call it artist application process committee, that is trying to discuss whether there are some touch points that can be put into the RFP process that guides the artist most relevant to that project, either to apply or if they are not relevant, kind of allow them to understand that they are not relevant to the project. I've served on, the artist selection committees, and Commissioner Salyer is correct. We do have, we will even say we want a three-dimensional work, and then we will have a ton of 2D visual artists who have no portfolio of three-dimensional work that send their, it's a one-click thing once you've loaded your profile in there pretty much. And so is something that are there questions that we can ask that need to be answered? Yes. As a part of this, are you submitting something in your portfolio that matches the description of what we're wanting in this RFP? Yes or no?
is there, you know, some of these other, maybe there's checkpoints that are kind of two different, I think those are two different, I don't want to say two different full committees. I don't think the process thing needs to be a whole committee, but it certainly sounds like there's like kind of a curation committee that can give guidance back to staff on the diversity of the artists and the diversity of the work in our collection. Sorry to make that more complicated than it was to begin with, but.
Do we have anything that we can use as a motion based on our discussions? Because
So-
we're going all over the place.
In a way, I want to check with our counselor about this. So this item was written as discussion of policy. We didn't say action. So there won't be any formal vote on this. It's just a discussion. My intent mainly from this was to get the discussion started. And so you have joined that discussion.
Well, you did say to make a recommendation for the artist eligibility
We did, but
policy.
we should ignore that.
Okay, ignore that.
It-
But we've started the discussion.
We started the discussion, so
Where do we go from here?
I would suggest that I and my colleagues talk this out a little bit, and then we may bring this up for further discussion at the next meeting.
Everybody okay with that? Any more comments or questions?
No, good.
If I,
So-
hello? If I could just add one thing, I don't know if my thing's gonna work. Hello, hello? Hello, hello? Okay.
There you go.
I just want to say that I appreciate the spirit of the policy. I think that it is important to have a nice, diverse group of artists that provide these beautiful pieces of work to the city. I don't like the word limit. Like, we don't want to limit anyone, right, from doing what they love. Certainly some rules need to be in place, but what I would add is I've been blessed to work with a lot of artists within my community, and there's a lot of talent out there that these RFPs are just not getting to them. They don't know about them. I 100% agree with everybody's comment about, well, we need to make sure that the artist is at a level in their craft that they can produce the work that is, asked of them. But are we doing enough to not limit, but increase the pool of applicants, right? Make sure that those RFPs are getting to the communities that are underrepresented. So I would welcome the discussion further. So thank you.
Anyone else?
In regard to that, I wanted to comment on two things. We typically, when we get responses to RFQs, and an artist falls short in some way, we offer them technical assistance from our office. That's one of the things we do. We can help them upgrade their resume or the way they respond to questions. Their photographs is a big one a lot of times. So we do that. That is active outreach that we do. We also have a workshop coming up in conjunction with Paseo Artist Association, in which we're doing a mock selection committee. So we first did this a number of years ago, and it was one of the most well-attended, most highly rated workshops that we ever did. And you could see the light go on in people's eyes as they were playing the roles on a selection committee. And we saw definite improvement from a number of people that were involved in that. So anyway, we're doing that again.
How are you promoting that particular workshop? I mean, it's not just for Paseo artists, right? It's for
everybody. So it'll go to all of our registry, it'll go on social media, and then Paseo advertises it far and wide wherever they happen to.
and OVAC might be able to help with that as well.
Yeah.
We hit social media and OVAC really hard on all, we did several of these type of things, and yeah.
And we're discussing opportunities with other organizations also to keep on doing different workshops with them where the two of us working together, it's more beneficial. Leandre has spoken recently at an OVAC workshop. We were invited to another but we couldn't participate in that one because of timing. So we're looking for those opportunities.
Probably a great idea to send it over to, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
There we go, it's on now. I think it might be a great idea to send it to the Latino Community Development Agency so that they could send it out on their social medias.
What is it?
Well,
for
I'd love to
sending?
share it with my network and, make sure that those opportunities are being presented. So, thank you.
Totally different. This, that has no connection to this item, though. So we've got like 8 or 9 things that you guys have to do,
Yeah.
right? Okay, sweet.
We'll wrap all that up together and come up with some suggestions.
Oh, no, they're all excellent ideas. Okay, consent docket? Nope, yes, anything? Okay, cool. Commission advocate, Deborah?
I'm going to be so fast. I think the real important thing is that I want to encourage all commissioners to meet back here tomorrow morning for Arts and Humanities Month. Please join me. I know that President of Allied Arts, Sunny Kearley, is here with us today, and Sunny and Randy and several of the arts leaders have something very special planned, and the proclamation will be read during council meeting. So everyone, please join tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And then we've got so many fun arts things coming up in the community. Just our seasons offer so much of this. But if you have not if you've not seen this about the Murder Mystery Night on Halloween at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, you're in for an immersive museum experience for a very different thing to do for Halloween. And if you don't want to do the immersive experience, you can go watch the movie The Birds at the museum for Halloween, same night. And of course, with the holidays coming up, all of our cultural organizations are brimming with things to do, but the time to get your tickets is now, if you don't already have the season tickets. But one thing not necessarily seasonal, but very exciting coming up is the Phil is doing Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. So the Academy Award winning movie will be showing, and the Philharmonic will be playing all the music live on November 30th. And then A Very Merry Pops, December 6th and 7th. Of course, we're going to have Lyrics, A Christmas Carol, starts November 23rd and goes through December 27th. And another seasonal classic, the Oklahoma City Ballet will do the Nutcracker, so December 14th through the 22nd. So stockings, you could just go ahead and buy the tickets now and put those in stockings kind of thing. But reminder to see everyone tomorrow morning. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Any questions or discussion, Commissioner Cooper?
I just had something to add. On Friday, November 8th, the Oklahoma City Philharmonic is going to be having its Maestros Ball. And so if you would like to do something to help support the Philharmonic and its educational programs, you think about coming to the Maestros Ball. And you can go to probably their website to get more information about it, or just plug in Maestros Ball.
Wonderful.
Anybody else?
Or you can ask me.
Okay. Commissioner Eichmann.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where this belongs. This is an update on the task force that is reviewing the comprehensive plan. And so I didn't see it on the agenda, so I'm assuming this is the time to just kind of give everybody an update, real quick one. Co-chair Jim Hassenbeck and I, we met September 16th with some members. We've added some members to the task force, broken up the various jobs within the master plan that need to be reviewed. And so I just want to acknowledge that and thank Allison Bailey, who will be sort of chairing the review of Arts Commission governance, Terry Cooper, Commissioner Cooper, who will be reviewing the 1% ordinance and for any updates to our existing ordinance, and also Brian Chambers, who will be looking at policies and procedures for management of the city's art collection. And then, of course, there's, we will have, in terms of engaging the public and neighborhoods, that's something we'll be looking at further on down the line, and Randy and the staff will be assisting with that. So, but we have met, we're underway, and as I told Commissioner Cooper earlier, fortunately, we don't have a drop-dead deadline because we are now coming up on the holidays. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is AMP up the same as what we just talked about? Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, so AMP up was on the agenda. It's under item 5? Oh, it's just the ones that Randy gave you then, I guess. Anyway, you were half on the agenda. All right. Randy, Arts and Cultural Affairs update.
Before I give you an update, I'll say that that task force meeting in September was almost exciting. If a task force meeting can be exciting. The way that the participants really leaned into the questions, it was very, very encouraging. So there's going to be good recommendations that come out of this that are going to help guide us over the next 10 years. Now, earlier I asked you to remember something from February of this year. So I want to get your brains into the Wayback Machine and go to February the 17th, 2020. And that was when you heard a recommendation from, from the Arts and Cultural Affairs about a work to go on the Deep Fork Trail. And the project was proposed by Denise Duong and Gabe Friedman. That project has just now been completed. So the delay had virtually nothing to do with them, but we were encouraged by Parks to start this because they were getting ready to do construction on the trail, and they wanted us to be sure and have the art ready to go. Well, about 100 different things intervened, and that project has been delayed, and I'm not sure it's 100% finished yet. However, the art is. And there you see Gabe with the art identification marker for Our Dream Shadows, and then one of the works on the trail. So you can see that the guitar is actually, it's on the surface of the trail. It's made out of a project called Ruby Lake Glass, So it's always there for you to come and cast your own shadows and take pictures. Some more examples. So, get out on the trail, on the Deep Fork Trail, which is arguably it's one of the prettiest trails that the city has. Winds along the Deep Fork River, and a lot of greenery on that trail.
Okay, we've had a very lively number of comments. Do anybody else have anything else they want to say? Commissioner Cooper?
I don't know it.
Is that a yes?
I'm thinking I need to check my calendar just in case I need to have something else to say.
Well, let me know when you get done.
Well, of course, there are tons of things going on, just like Deborah said. There are activities all over this city with Philharmonic, Lyric Theater, the Cowboy Museum. I mean, they're ballet. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in Oklahoma City. So you need to check your calendar every week for cultural activities in which to participate.
Bring your friends. Okay, anyone else?
Chairman, I guess if I could just congratulate the Oklahoma City Museum of Art on an incredibly successful exhibit with Edith Head. We had visitors from 49 states. We missed Vermont somehow. So as Michael says, any friends you have in Vermont, please tell them to come to the museum because somehow we missed that. But it was the third most attended exhibition at the museum since 2019. It was really wonderful, and I just want to commend the staff. That was an exhibit that was curated entirely by museum in-house staff and won't be seen anyplace else. It was here in Oklahoma City, and those costumes and beautiful props all go back to their collectors, and that was that. So we're very, very proud of the success. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I'll ask if the public has any. We actually have public here.
Just before we go on, this isn't a comment from a commission member, but it's about a commission member. So I have just been informed that there is an article in the paper on Commissioner Salyer about high-rise living.
Yeah. That's correct.
You were a pioneer, right, in Oklahoma City?
Well, there we go. It doesn't seem possible that it was 14 years ago to, move into a high-rise downtown. And it's the most wonderful opportunity, and I would encourage anybody that is thinking about coming to live in urban downtown Oklahoma City, do it. It's great fun and surrounded by all of these opportunities that everybody's discussing. It really is, just shows how far our community has come in the last 40 years since I've lived here, but at an accelerating pace. And it's a testament to everybody around this horseshoe and everybody that works pulling on the same rope to make Oklahoma City the fantastic place it is to live, work, and play.
Thank you. And again, our three members of the public, would any of you like to address the commission? Okay, thank you. And I believe that's all. Remind everybody that November 18th, 2024 will be our next meeting, held in council chambers right here at 4 p.m. So I'll adjourn then. Thank you, everyone.